So I guess we should get started, otherwise we'll be here forever. Yeah. So I'm supposed to do the wrap up. So I thought all of you have attended all the tutorials, but looks like only a few of you have attended. Anyway, I kind of prepared something high level, just rounding up. So I just kind of want to talk about the present and a bit of the future. Yeah. So of course I assume that you have attended the earlier part of the tutorials. But never mind, I think I'll just try to go through it in the simplest possible way. Yeah, so I'm from the National University of Singapore. Yeah, I've been there for I think more than 20, since 1983, so you can count 30 years. So I've been there for a long time, yeah. So I run a research lab that with about 30 to 40 people. Yeah. So we look at different aspects of social media, text retrieval, and multimedia retrieval. So I think I'll just kind of half an hour, I think just quickly talk a bit about present and the future. But so this is probably what I would say, kind of, I will introduce the system to you very quickly. But if you attend my talk tomorrow, I will introduce a bit more, right? So today is just a very high level. If you want to know more, you should attend my talk tomorrow. Then I talk a bit about technologies behind the current systems and talk about the challenges for the new generation systems. Okay. So again, this is a picture that I've been updating it for many years. We started this research about 6 years ago. So at that time, I think these are not so popular. All these are actually not that common. But actually nowadays everything, yeah, and then the Instagram wasn't there, Pinterest is not there, and so on. So actually nowadays there are a lot of new social media sites. I'll just kind of, so some of them are public, some are private, but of course for a small group of users, actually they just share everything. Okay, so the key difference between the social media and the broadcast media is that, I think that's the best way to put it. In the broadcast media, like a news, somebody filtered it, then you see it, right? In social media, somebody publish it, and then someone else try to filter it. Of course, you yourself might play the role, right? You do the filtering, you decide what to see, what not to see. But the fact is that in social media, things are published before you filter. So in terms of information retrieval, this is actually a totally different paradigm. Right? In information retrieval, your job is to retrieve. But in social media, actually, a bigger part of the job is to do filtering. Because there's just so much information. So you can retrieve, if you just do the normal retrieval, you get a lot of information. So in fact, the key part is how you filter. So it's a slightly different from the old information retrieval concept. Like on the web, most of the informations are correct. On the social media, 70% of informations are rumors, are not correct. In fact, if you go to Twitter, right? Twitter supposedly 30% of users are not real users. In Chinese Weibo, I think 60% of users are not real users. So if you think about it, if someone publishes something, I think first thing you need to do is verify if this guy is a real person. Of course, if this guy is not a real person, then of course you don't trust him. Right? And in fact, if you are familiar with Chinese media, you can go to buy a user account. You can go to Taobao. You heard about Alibaba, right? Yeah, you can go to Alibaba to buy user account. A user account doesn't cost a lot. In fact, less than 1 cent for those normal type of user. In fact, on the social media, most of these fake users will only last less than a week. Of course, you want to buy high quality user, you got to pay more. So in fact, that's the state of the art, that users are fake, some information are fake. So in fact, part of the job of social media is basically to figure out who is the real user, who is a real person behind that, rather than the robots, and so on. So if you think about it from the user's point of view, why do people give you a social media account to play with? I think the first part is for you to do communications, like for you to interact with your friends and so on, for you to express your view. And increasingly, I think Alex was talking about wellness and all these things. I think a lot of people use that for self-preservation. Yeah, I want to know my health. I want to know how my friends are doing with their health. I want to know how much exercise I do. I want the social media to help me, to motivate me to do more exercise and so on. Yeah. And then the last thing, of course, is local communities. Through there, you find your virtual communities, and then that helps you to do things. So that's from user's point of view. But for business point of view, I think someone give you a social media platform like VK, right? I mean, VK is very popular. From VK's point of view, I mean, why should I give you a nice platform for you to play with? Of course, from VK's point of view, they want users, right? In the social media business, everything is about users. The more users I have, the more variable I have. But how to have more users? I guess to have more users, you've got to make your system very interesting. One thing to make your system more interesting is that your system must have a lot of users. And the user must generate a lot of content. Right? So in fact, this is a vicious circle. I have more users, I make my interface very easy to use. The users will generate more content. And because of more content, more users will come in. And so the systems for example, the VK, their point of view is that I should make my system very fun and very interesting and users keep coming back. And I need to understand my user. I need to co-create the content with my user. So in fact, the current generation of social media, you can think of it as a platform of co-creation of contents. Everybody create their own contents. Collectively, you got a big set of contents. VK doesn't create any content. Facebook doesn't create any contents. Contents are all created by you. But VK and Facebook, their point of view is how do I put all this content together into something interesting so that other people find it interesting and people keep coming back. So this is a nice business to be in, right? For those who are VK and Facebook. Okay, so because of that, there are lots of contents. In fact, we can differentiate 3 types of contents. One is the user-generated contents. I think Alex talk has been talking about, well, you call it Edison, right? I think, yeah. So he's been talking about user-generated contents. But the other source is the device-generated contents. I think a lot of us wear the band and things like that, so that generate a lot of data. Of course, to make this whole thing works, you also need the last one, which is called the structured content. Or in the business world, you call this online world. Well, this is online, these two are offline world. Integration of online and offline is actually the key part. Okay, so at this point, I'll just quickly show you a simple system. This is a system actually developed by our group. So I select the MRT. MRT is the Singapore subway, right? I think your subway is very nice. Actually, I took the subway last night. Alex was saying, well, the subway station here is very nice, but it was very crowded though. Okay. So I can select, say this week, 23rd of March to 29th of March. Then I can look at, say, how much data I have. I can look at, say, at any point, what are the tweets I have. So this is only for Twitter, so it's a very simple system. I can do simple sentiment analysis. I think for those who are doing NLP, it will be more interesting is I look at entity discovery. For every post, I want to know where the name of person, name of organization, name of location. Right. So I can look at, say, organization, I guess. Yeah, so these are all the organizations related to MRT. So I can look at light rail transport. Yeah, see what the people complain about this. Yeah, because once the MRT breaks down, and then a lot of people will send a lot of complaints. Yeah. These are the topics that happen. So for every week we generate 10 topics that people talk about MRT. So these are this is not readable, these are machine generated topics. Of course, a lot of work should be done to actually make the topic tighter, more readable and things like that. So I can, say for example, I can get into this topic. This one will show me all the tweets as well as the pictures. Yeah. And the rest are the usual thing, right? I can look at the engagement analysis, what are the hot hashtags. Say for example, Lee Kuan Yew, I think you heard about Lee Kuan Yew, right? Lee Kuan Yew is the founding Prime Minister of Singapore. So these are the tweets that talk about him, this talk about Singapore, now playing. Well, actually some of them might not be related to this. And then the audience analysis. Okay. So these are the okay. Supposed to come out. So this one are all the influential user. And for influential user, you want to divide two types of influential user. One is the organizational user and individual users. And of course, a lot of things can be done. Part of the things we do is, if I look at all the audience here, half of the audience belongs to organization, half of the audience are public. In fact, one interesting thing to do is to see what does the official user says versus individual user says. In fact, they are very different, right? As you would expect. So in fact, these are some of the interesting things you can do with social media. Anyway, I won't go in too much, otherwise you will not attend my talk tomorrow. Right? So what are the technologies behind here? If you look at it, to develop systems like that, I guess first of all, you must have the way to correlate the data. For example, if the subway breaks down, everybody will start to tweet, right? So there are lots of data coming. And you must crawl right away, because you cannot crawl later, because first of all, the Twitter might not let you crawl too much. Secondly, Twitter don't store all of them. Twitter only store a selected subset of data. Unless you crawl right away, actually those data will not be there anymore. Secondly, is multimodal. Based on our study, actually, at least on the Chinese Weibo, more than 50% of tweets now has images or video, which is kind of common nowadays, especially for young people. And out of those with video and images, some people don't even bother to put any text. Right? So in fact, you don't know what they are complaining or what they are doing. So you must do image analysis as well, image location and all this. Third one is multilingual. I guess in Singapore, there are probably about 3 languages I use most of the time: English, Chinese, and Malay. I guess in Russia, maybe everyone uses only Russian language, so it's easy for you, I think. But for Southeast Asia, it's actually very messy in language. I think every Thai language, Vietnamese language, these are all very, very difficult to handle. Just now I show you that for every week we generate 10 events, so you must have techniques to actually figure out what events people, or you wouldn't call it event, what subtopics people are talking about. Right? Supposing I'm looking at MRT, subway, right? Every day people are talking about different subtopics. I want to know what subtopics they talk about so that I can help them, I guess. I mean, that's the better way to say it, right? If I know your complaint, I can help you, right? So at least then I must know what you're complaining about. So event detection is very important. And once I can do all this, I need to do prediction. In fact, prediction is probably one of the more kind of, for those who are with mathematics background, I think that's the topic they like to move in first. Because this is, you can make it very mathematically sophisticated to do prediction. You can predict who are the active users, you can predict which tweet is going to be hot, you can predict which event is going to be viral. And then prescription, basically you want to generate report, generate measures to help users to, for example, you predict that one negative tweet is going to be very hot. Then what are you going to do about it? Of course, right now it's done it manually, and of course in the live social media system, you want to basically automatically do that. Yeah. And then of course you try to do everything automatically so that it's scalable, so that you can handle many events at the same time. So I'll just quickly run through that. I think first key technology is crawling. How can I gather enough information about a topic? And how can I do that without being removed by the service provider? So of course the key part is that you must, in fact, everybody knows, the key part is that you must have lots of user accounts. To do a reasonable crawling, you must have at least 200 to 1 million user accounts. And you log in as a user and crawl as a user, so that you simulate the user behavior, so that the VK doesn't know that you are a robot. If they know that you are a machine, they will kill you right away. Right? So in fact, this is the difficult part. And of course, you got to, first of all, the keyword is changing all the time. You cannot say MRT, I just use the word MRT, and very few tweets will come out. Maybe now is maybe one of the station breakdown, so station's name is being mentioned all the time. So the keyword changing all the time. So you need to, so for those who are in IR, you know, you need to do kind of a keyword generation, keyword suggestion, the kind of techniques to generate what are the latest keywords that are likely to be used in the user's post. Second is non-account, right? If I'm crawling the subway, I know that subway has 30, 40 accounts. I want to go into those accounts and figure out what does the subway company wants everyone to know. In fact, those are some of your relevant topics. And one key part about doing social media is that, in fact, after you crawl the information for a while, you should roughly know how many active users are there. For example, in Singapore, the number of active Twitter users is about 400,000. And out of 400,000, you must have at least half of the accounts. Otherwise, you cannot crawl. So you must know who are the active users. Who are the active users today? Active user today is likely to tweet again tomorrow. So, in fact, you need to follow all the active users to get all the information. And then finally is the image part. These are the kind of futuristic part. By combining all this, then you can actually hope to get a very representative set of data that hopefully has good coverage, good diversity, and then relevance. Second part, of course, is deep NLP. I think just now I mentioned to you, given a tweet, a short tweet or paragraph, the key part is that I need to know which are the key phrases that are mentioned in the tweet. I want to know the name entity. Just now I show you just a name of person, name of organization, name of location. Yeah, but in the actual applications, you probably need to know more. If it's a school, then you want to know name of teacher, name of student, name of instructor, that kind of thing. Yeah. If it's a movie, I think you want to know name of actresses, and so on. And after that, you need to do sentiment analysis. And sentiment analysis is easy, but I think the difficult part to do sentiment analysis is to do it at the subtopic level. Every day the topic changes, but every topic you might have different keywords that describe different sentiments. And your system must be able to discover those keywords that describe different sentiments. And finally is the classification. I call it classification, but actually it's more like filtering. If you do this way of cloning, actually you get a lot of noise, right? Then the key part is how do you remove the noise? The filtering part, that's what I mentioned earlier. You can get lots of information, but how do you filter out the noise? Otherwise your analysis is nonsensical. Okay, noise removal, I think I mentioned that before. You need to have techniques to remove spam bot user. If you don't do that, then your user or your so-called active user, influential user is likely to be a robot. Because I think they crawl, they actually send information all the time. Well, not all the time. I mean, nowadays the robots are quite clever now. In the old days, it's very easy to detect, but nowadays they try to simulate the user as well. And the fourth is that you need to do event detection. Yeah. So the key technology here is clustering and filtering. And then you do event classification into so-called new events or existing events. And fifth is predictive analytics. I want to detect viral messages, viral events before they become viral. And another key part is that I want to detect influential and active users. And in fact, from a company's point of view, actually, the most active users are not that useful, right? Because I'm sure a famous movie star in Russia, probably they get millions of followers. But if you notice, those who are very famous, they only send one or two tweets a day. Right? They are very careful. So they are probably not so useful to you. What you want is actually you want to look for those so-called active users in the communities. So in fact, for social media, community detection is very important. Active user in the community, because they are not so famous globally, they send tweets all the time. And these guys has very big influence on the communities. So if we can figure out that what I'm trying to, the message I'm trying to pass is related to 5 communities, and I can figure out which are the active user in the influential user in the 5 communities, and these guys are going to help you a lot more. But these are, to detect the most active user is very easy, but to detect kind of mid-level influential user, these are quite hard. You need to do community detection, you need to do this and that. Number 6 is called predictive analytics. Basically, like I mentioned before, if you crawl lots of data, how do you organize them into reports? So that's someone, maybe your professor don't have time, right? He wants to look at something, your boss, especially your boss, he doesn't have time. Yeah, you need to tell them something simple. And you tell them that there's a problem, the first thing they ask you is, yeah, tell me what can I do about it. Right? So these are the kind of research that is kind of much harder than the analysis. So in fact, even the current days, I think the analysis actually has moved from data, given the raw data, we do all the analysis to figure out sentiment, to figure out topics and things like that, to prescriptive analytics. And the purpose of prescriptive analytics is to know why and how. And these are very, very difficult but very interesting. Very difficult in the sense that you cannot do it in the general domain. You must know what problem you are solving before you can do this. You cannot say I do it in a general way. It doesn't make sense. You need to know the problem first. So, and then you need a scalable architecture. I think this is just one of the architecture that we use in our system that can support 300 million images and then up to we have a few billion messages on a kind of 10 computers server systems. So this is very scalable. Okay, so this is about current generation. Yeah. Any questions? Okay, so for next generation, I think if we just recap, the current generation, everyone is talking about live, big data, multi-source, multimedia, and multilingual. And the current generation, like VK, actually they want to support the user's need for sharing, communication, and interactions. And in order to do that well, the system will need to give you very good functionalities so that you keep coming back. And the purpose is that they want you to contribute contents. Okay, the more image you share, the more messages you post, or the more complaints you make, actually you make the whole website more interesting, and then they use that to attract more users. And then, so based on that, then we develop analytics to basically help to understand contents, events, and users. In fact, the demo I show you, actually the key part is how do you understand the entities that are happening, sub-events that are happening, the users, and the relationship. If you can understand that, then your results are useful to someone. Okay, what has changed in the last 5 years? I think some of this maybe you know already. I think, for example, these are the social media sites that came out in the last 3 years. Anyone heard about Pinterest? Okay, so Pinterest, no, the ladies doesn't know about Pinterest. Pinterest is a website for ladies. Basically, a lot of ladies will go there, they will pull all the images they like into the so-called box. So for example, if you like dress, you like hairdo, then you go around and find all those interesting hairdo, interesting dresses, you pull them and put it in the website, and you publish it. Then your friend knows that, oh, you like this dress, and then your friend will also put their dress there, and then you can share. Right. So in fact, Pinterest, I think, started in 2012. I think they have about 300-400 million users. 70% are ladies, of course. And the active sites are fashion, food, travel, and lots of other things. So every typical user will have 10-20 different bots, and then each bot will describe one area of their interest. And this is very visual. Vine, anyone heard about Vine? Yeah, Vine is kind of so I think more people know. Vine is a kind of so-called micro video, 6-second loop video. Keep playing and playing. They limit it to 6 seconds. And the third one, of course, is Pinterest, Snapchat. Snapchat, they limit the video to 10 seconds. So people will share those videos, and the video is maximum 10 seconds. And the key part about Snapchat is that the video will disappear after one viewing. But actually, it's not really disappear. That's the publicity. So you disappear after viewing. So people don't mind sharing a lot of video that they don't normally share. Because if you share something on YouTube, then 10 years later, when you apply for a job, your employer will say, I saw this video about you 10 years ago. What happened? Or VK, right? VK, right? But on this site, the video is supposed to disappear. So in fact, this is the biggest, most popular sites. The users are supposed to be as big as Twitter now, actually. It just started about 3 years ago. Started as a messaging platform, and then now it becomes a, And then of course there are real devices like Periscope is another one. People share their whole live video. Of course, I don't know why people bother to watch other people's live video, but somehow it's very popular. Anyway, this company is still independent, these two are bought over by Twitter. So anyway, a bit about Snapchat, I'll just quickly show you. So Snapchat, you can actually share real-time video. In fact, you just take a video and send it to your friends. And as a message, instead of typing. So your friend look at video, maybe your friend know what's happening, I don't really know what's happening. Yeah, so you can share live story with your friend, so you can share a few videos, your friend look at it, hope you know what's happening to you now. Instead of now you type, I'm attending this, I'm attending that. You just take this video, take the video, send your friend know you're attending, you're busy. and then discover. So a lot of broadcast companies use Snapchat to broadcast those live video that they want the user to see. Okay, so this is our video, which is a major change in the last 3 to 4 years. All the contents are actually go multimedia now. So actually you need to do a bit of multimedia analysis. Second is live location analytics. In fact, a lot of sensor devices are anywhere now. And their mobile phone is the best sensor device actually. In fact, if anyone use iPhone here? Oh, nobody use iPhone here. So if you go to iPhone, you go to detail part, go to your privacy and the location part, actually iPhone keep track exactly where you are. I mean, whether they send it out or not is another matter. You will know that last 2 days, where have I been? Yeah, maybe I've been to Winter Palace, and then after that I go to concert and things like that. These are all kind of typed in the iPhone itself. So these are very common now. A lot of people don't mind being shared. In fact, they explicitly share them. Yeah. So in fact, like what Alex was trying to say, if you've got all these device, you've got Foursquare, you've got everything, in fact, a live location is actually known. And of course, for researcher, that's good. I mean, I've got lots of data now. I can look at I can estimate your location preferences. I can estimate your mobility. I can use that to do recommendation and so on. Third aspect actually is, which is very subtle, is that everything is live nowadays. Imagine if you buy maybe this is more apparent in China. I mean, if you buy an air filter, put it in the room, actually this air filter is live. If you are too lazy, you can actually make it live so that the air filter will communicate with the service provider. If the air filter is down, you will send a message there. And this service provider will send you a message to say whether you want to replace it. You can just type yes, and then this will be replaced. If somebody presses a doorbell, a message is immediately sent to your phone to know who actually pressed the doorbell, because there's a camera there. So these are actually very, very common now. Of course, these are convenience. Do you want convenience or you want privacy? I think these are the two things that you need to decide. Yeah. So live is very important. Everything is live. And how to handle live info in a very user-friendly and transparent way, this is a very, very hard problem. I mentioned about quality and structure of data. I think the key difference between social media and web is that the information on social media is a lot of noise. Right? These are some statistics. 70% of user-generated contents are noise. And then about 40 to 50% of users on social media are actually non-real users. They are not real users. And representative of data is important. You can say, I crawl data, do analysis. I think first thing people ask you is, are you sure your data is representative? Can you answer the question? If you can't answer the question, then your data is actually questionable. So the key part actually is to make the data structure at both the data and knowledge level. That's why there's a lot of research. Actually, if you want to do social media analytics, knowledge graph is actually one key research that you should. You either use knowledge graph or you must have technology to generate knowledge graph. Knowledge graph is basically an organization of knowledge at the application level. Co-creation and co-invention. So with live instant feedback comes the possibility of co-invention, not just the content, but also design. So for example, a lot of e-commerce companies now make use of feedback to decide how much of certain product they want to generate and things like that. But you can think of that as a very simple form of feedback that you work collaboratively with user to say what I want to generate. You heard about Xiaomi, right? The mobile phone user in China. They claim that their new generation of phone actually is designed based on feedback from the users. And how to do that in a semi-automatic way, I think this is something that people are trying to look into. And the last thing is the online, offline. I think just now I talked about representativeness. The social media data you get from social media actually represents a small segment of people. Maybe people like you send a lot. But maybe your parent generation, those people in the working in non-IT area, maybe they don't send that much information. So whatever opinion you generated, it only represents social media active users. How do you get the information about those non-active users? It's actually a big challenge. So in fact, the integration of online to offline, well, in fact, if you are in business, you know all the new startup companies that are being funded are usually O2O, right? Online to offline companies. In fact, this is a big area that everybody is interested in. From offline, how do you link to, from online, how do you link to offline kind of resources, users, and so on. Just to give you an example, in e-commerce, actually, it's quite easy to get offline data, but it's not real time. I think I can always go to the certain site to know how much is the sales of certain phone and things like that. If I can put these two data together, at least I get a more credible data. At least the data I predict or I analyze is consistent with the actual sales data. Election in Singapore. I think the social media user is probably about 10%. Well, active one is probably 10%. Right? So if you look at I don't know how many of you know about Singapore election 6 months ago, I think. If you look at the social media data, you thought that the ruling government is going to lose. And going to lose very badly. But come to actual voting, the ruling government actually increased their vote share by 10%. They have 69% of public votes to share. Okay, so the key technologies are predictive and prescriptive analytics. Anyway, I'll just quickly summarize. So just now I show you a kind of live social observatory system. And this is fully automated and then allows you to basically figure out on any topics that you introduce them, and helps you to monitor what happened in the city to help people live better lives. So the technical challenges I put there is deep analysis. I think NLP techniques are very important here. I think I mentioned a few. In fact, the latest one are kind of entity analysis, relation analysis, knowledge graph. All these are very important in the social media analytics. Multi-modal analysis is important because there are more and more images and video now. And real-time analysis, that means you need to crawl information and analyze information in real time. And lastly is prescriptive analytics. And then many new innovative applications are being attempted now. In fact, the key part is linked to social understanding of events. Right, so we need to work with social science people. I think computer science people were too technical. We always look at any problem from technical point of view. Can I do it or can I not do it? Well, social scientists will look at what is the implication of this, what's the inside of this, which we don't. Well, we develop tools to help them actually. Co-invention between organizations and government. So, for example, in the government send out a white paper, get views from users. Of course, from the government point of view, is that I want to get feedback, modify my policy. Eventually, I can say that this policy is your policy. Right? So, how to do that? I think that's something in the new e-government. Actually, this is a key topic that I talk about. Yeah, how to make use of social media, give users the feel that they are helping in the creation of the policies. Social wellness is a big topic now. Smart city, of course, everybody is smart city, but Singapore, we are one step ahead. We are doing smart nation. We are doing a country, a smart country. So I think, well, Alex don't laugh at it.
You are a smart country.
Yeah. But we are smaller than St. Petersburg.
I guess that's 3 times.
St. Petersburg is 3 times bigger.
At least in terms of area, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But population, I think we are smaller as well.
Population is twice bigger.
You have greater population than in St.
It is twice greater.
We have living population about 6 million.
Yeah, and we have kind of 4 between the city and 6 within area.
Okay, so it's about the same. Anyway, there are many interesting work. So I kind of like to encourage you to actually look at this from all this innovate. There are lots of new innovations that are generated from this. And so I just give a quick overview, but next 2 days I'm giving 2 other talks, but along the same topics, but in greater details. So if you want to hear more, I think I hope to see you all here. Okay. Okay, any questions? So you're the only social scientist, right? I think I noticed.
Yeah, for your message.
Okay. Any questions or any comments? Because maybe what I say is too high level for you.
What's the platform live next search for? You show some data on it, but I can't.
Oh no, the one you need to type, you need to log it.
It's something private for your university.
Yeah, we share it with some others because it's on our side. If I make it public, it's a small server. We cannot support them many. But if some of you are interested, we can give you 1 or 2 links so you can play with it. Okay, Alex. So no questions. I think you have presentation, right?
Kind of, yeah, but that's the next, that's the next speaker who will talk about profile finding, yeah? Am I right? So do we have some time for some?
Yeah. I guess let's put our hands together first. So I managed to get some time at least for our group presentation over time again, but it's so interesting topic, of course it will be over time.
Yeah.
So I guess you have 3 groups, right? You have 3 people who have something to present. It's your group and 2 individual people, right? It's your side, right? And can you raise your hands, somebody who prepared some presentations or did something for today? Okay, like 2 hours ago it was 3, now it's become 1 group, right?
It is the 1 group.
Okay, so at least you guys have slides, so can you present something for us? Okay. And then we will finish up the session. Sorry for those who come for a next lecture, it will be soon.
So can I use
You can use my laptop or you can use...
You can use mine because I use this one.
Oh, okay, no problem. All of you can find Prof. Chow for next 3 days, so yeah, he very would like, I think, to talk to all of you to see.
So yeah, I'm trying to be quite fast in this very small presentation. So there's a team. So Ivan, David, and me, and Andrei. So we all present computer science, computer technology chair in the university. Most of you are from this place, so you can comments. Yeah. So let's start. The task was we had a big data set. People taken from London, from Singapore, from New York. Yeah, we didn't use New York, so I don't remember exactly. There are many features taken from different sources, from Twitter, from Instagram, and from Foursquare. Yeah, they were some of them prepared, some of them not. Okay, and also there was a task to predict some useful information about them. So we had got ground truth based on their Facebook profiles. So okay, what we actually did first, we thought that 5 tasks too much, so we need to somehow reduce them or make them more predictable. Then we process data in that purpose. Then we use feature extraction algorithms, and after that we just try classification. So yeah, okay, that's selection. Yeah, the only one guy who did it was me, and that's practically everything that I did, nothing else. So getter prediction was quite a good task. So binary classification, we say okay. If we are predicting age and if we are predicting education, they look very correlated because you won't have higher education when you are 8, and you usually not a student if you are 46. So we decided to merge these 2 labels into one. So there are 4 categories. You can be in school or you are, your age is less than 17. You can be a student or your age is between 17 and 22. Or 23 maybe, I'm not exact. 8. Oh really, yeah, 8. Yeah, that's right. You can also have higher education or not have higher education if your age is greater than 23. So this was made just because there were a very few of labels about education and about age. So we decided to merge them to have at least one big sample about age plus education. Also relationship, we decided not to split them into different categories, so they're just have guy or girl has someone. We don't really care in which terms O is alone. At least she or he just said that he is alone. So also there were occupation, but we decided that we have no guesses how we can merge them into macro labels. They were kind of, one I had one occupation, another guy had another occupation, so we just had to predict one. There was kind of one object there, one label. So we decided to skip. So okay, what else can be done for data processing tasks using in this case? So as I said, there were extremely imbalanced class. For example, in terms of age, there were kind of more than 1,000 guys who has age between 17 and 23, and there were just a few of guys who had age greater than 23. So it's better to use better splits. We just used our first guess, but it's better to do something else. Okay, also I think that Facebook ground truth is not very open for all the labels. So for example, it's okay for gender and for age, but for occupation and education is better to use LinkedIn. Since Facebook is not very precise when you are, you can imagine yourself in VK. I think none of you has shown that they are working in the place where they do work. Also, relationship is a very tricky question because some guys want to show that they are in a relationship. Also, there are some things connected to it. Guys showing that all girls show that she's in a relationship, but she's not. So it's better to ask guys about what they're doing exactly. So also, maybe a good point is to better formulate what we want to predict, because, for example, estate or income level is much more informative in terms of targeting and something else. So just some words. Okay, data preprocessing was very fast, so we just merge all these tables. We'll throw away all unlabeled objects, and yeah, we didn't clean any noise, despite it's obvious that some guys do not very precise in their age. So if one showing that he's 90, there are 90% that he's not 90. Okay, then yeah, 2 more core steps. We try feature selection, so there are 10 subsets we retrieve using different algorithms. So we used Foursquare as it was, Foursquare with LDA, Twitter parts of speech and custom features, Twitter, LDA, Instagram, all of them together. Also, we applied a filter for all the basic. We applied PCA to merge these features. We applied a feature for Instagram. We applied a filter for the previous two. So, yeah. A small commercial. The filter we applied was chosen automatically. So we didn't take each filter and try it. We just used a meta learning for predicting the best filtering algorithm. And if you're interested, yeah, you can just read this. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how it looks. We have 3 problems. We have 10 different data sets for each, and we try different classifiers. Yeah, what can be done else? We can apply LDA in many cases. We can group some features together, so I'll pass. Okay, also...
No need to be so fast, that's okay.
Okay, yeah. So let I just say that it's, I thought that we would have frequency of words from Twitter because we can use it together with Instagram, we can use it together with Foursquare, just because we can mine some patterns of behavior. So for example, guys who often attend the bar, maybe will write more about girls, maybe will write more about drugs, cars, and so on. So there are patterns which cover both location, words, and images. So yeah, we used very box classifiers. So it was performed on Python and Vega. Luckily no error was used, despite we tried. We didn't turn their parameters, unfortunately, because we had no time, in fact. Yeah. So we used just 7 classifiers. And many other things can be done, in fact. So the most basic is, since we have just a few labels, we can use semi-supervised learning, which will help us. So there are just small scheme. Yeah, I'll use. It's like we have very, very many objects, and we just have a few labels in them. It's passed. Sorry. What we did, we just throw them. That's the usual step in machine learning. Just we don't want to talk about these objects where we don't know labels. Labels have small signs under them. But more efficient way to do this, just to find some clustering which can cover us. Some clusters which can be labeled with these objects. So there are just some restrictions. Each cluster must have labeled object. So we don't want this cluster because we cannot predict what's there. Okay, so there shouldn't be a cluster which contains objects from different labels because we have a conflict. And also, we'd like to have that after we have marked all these clusters with object in this cluster, the distribution will be similar to the one in the population. Okay, also can be done not so strict, with not harsh restrictions, but with soft restrictions, where we just optimize a certain quality measure with localization based on all these requirements. So, okay, also, yeah, we predict age as labels, but it's better to predict age as rankings, especially if we will use more precise intervals, like from 11 to 15, from 15 to 17, from 17 to 21. It's better to use ranking since it's overplayable. Okay, yeah, we should turn the parameters, of course. If we had more time, we'll use meta learning on something else. And yeah, we, of course, can use much stronger classifiers since there are kind of enough data, but we also don't have time and nothing else. So yeah, results. That's our results for everything. 6 tables. I have one last slide which shows the summary of all these results. So we are good at predicting, yeah, as you can see, random forest was the best since the top view was because we didn't use parameters and yeah, random forest. But different subsets were best for that. So yeah, you can see there is a measure. It's quite high for Singapore gender, but it's not so high as in the paper. Also, yeah, practically everywhere we can predict it's better than coin, much better than coin. Well, Mine is higher. 0.7 everywhere except relationship in London. Yeah. So that's kind of all I want to tell you.
So any questions? Fast, 1-2 questions can still respond. Or we'll give a lecture hall to another lecturer who is already waiting for this.
Yeah, the speaker waiting there.
Okay, thank you for all speakers, to Prof. Chua, to our group. So I guess here we finish. All of us get some nice experience and all of us get the insights how we process social media. And yeah, thank you very much. Hopefully next years we can cover more material and go deep in details. So please read, please download the dataset, consider the vacations we offer to you, and we'll be happy to see you in Singapore as well.